Welcome back. In our last session, we explored the beauty of Eden, the pivotal choice that brought temptation, and the profound consequences of the fall. We saw Adam and Eve expelled from paradise, facing a world now touched by hardship, yet holding on to a promise of redemption. As they stepped into the raw, untamed world outside the garden walls, the true test of humanity's spirit was just beginning. Now, humanity's journey continues outside the garden. In this new beginning, Adam and Eve, though burdened by their past, look to the future. It is in this challenging reality that the first children are born, carrying within them both the legacy of the fall and the potential for a new path. Adam knew Eve, his wife, and with the promise of a new generation, she gave birth to Cain, exclaiming, "With the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man," a name that signifies acquisition, possession. Hope filled the air, the continuity of life. Sometime later, Eve gave birth to another son, Abel, whose name might mean breath or futility. Cain grew up and dedicated himself to agriculture, cultivating the land for the family's sustenance. Abel, for his part, became a shepherd, caring for the flock that provided food and clothing. Two lives, two distinct but complementary vocations, both working the land and its resources, laying the foundations of an incipient society. Yet, physical proximity did not guarantee closeness of heart. In due time, both Cain and Abel felt the need to offer something to God. Cain brought an offering from the fruit of the ground, from his harvest. Abel, however, brought from the firstborn of his flock, from their fat portions, a gesture of dedication and perhaps sacrifice, the first and best parts. It wasn't merely the act of giving, but the heart and intention behind it that mattered. Abel's offering, being of the firstborn and fat portions, signaled a priority, a reverence, a faith-filled desire to give God the very best. Cain, on the other hand, brought some of his produce, suggesting a less deliberate or perhaps perfunctory act. And the Lord had regard for Abel and for his offering, but for Cain and for his offering he had no regard. Consider this: it was not the offering itself, but the heart behind it. The Bible, in Hebrews 11:4, enlightens us. By faith, Abel offered to God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. This underscores that God looks beyond the material gift to the spirit in which it is given, valuing genuine faith and obedience above mere ritual. Cain's reaction was immediate and alarming. He became very angry, and his countenance fell. His face revealed the fury and resentment settling within him. Jealousy, envy, and bitterness began to erode his soul, illustrating how unchecked negative emotions can quickly consume a person. God, in his infinite mercy and omniscience, perceived the condition of Cain's heart and confronted him with a question. "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast?" An opportunity for Cain to reflect and repent, to turn from the destructive path he was contemplating. And the Lord warned Cain with words that echo through the centuries. "If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it." What a powerful warning. God reveals that sin is not just an action, but a potent living force, personified as a lurking beast at the door of one's heart. Yet, critically, God also empowers Cain with the choice, the ability to master this destructive impulse, to choose righteousness over destructive jealousy. This is a crucial moment. Cain was warned, given a chance to change his course. He was given agency over his impulses. But the narrative shows us that he failed to master the evil that tempted him. Envy had already taken deep root in his heart, overpowering the divine warning and his own conscience. While Cain was in the field with his brother Abel, the darkness of his heart manifested. And Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. Violence enters the world brutally, marking the first human death, the first fratricide. An act that broke the bond of blood and family harmony, forever altering the course of human relationships. Abel's blood cries out from the ground. God, who sees and knows all, confronts Cain again. "Where is Abel, your brother?" The question is not out of ignorance, but to give Cain one last chance to confess and repent, to take responsibility for his heinous act. But Cain's answer is evasive and defiant. "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Lying is added to the crime. Cain tries to hide the truth, to shirk his accountability, but the cry of innocent blood is undeniable to God. The voice of justice echoes, demanding an answer for the merciless act, confirming that no deed, good or evil, goes unnoticed by the Creator. Then God declared to Cain the terrible consequences of his act. The ground, which he once cultivated, would now be cursed because of him. It would no longer yield its strength to him, and he would become a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. The very source of his sustenance and his dwelling would be affected by his sin, reflecting a deep spiritual alienation. Cain laments his punishment, finding it unbearable. "Everyone who finds me will kill me," he says, fearing vengeance. In his mercy, God put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. This mark was not protection from punishment, but from immediate retaliation, ensuring that God's justice would prevail on his terms, even amidst a fallen world. So Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, east of Eden. A physical exile, but also a spiritual one, moving away from communion with God. His life would be marked by loneliness and the bitter fruit of his choice, a somber reminder of the weight of sin. The story of Genesis 4 does not end merely with Cain's exile. The chapter continues, showing Cain's construction of the first city and the lineage that originated from him, revealing the beginning of a complex human civilization, yet already tainted by sin and marked by increasing violence and hubris, as seen in Lamech's boast and the introduction of polygamy. However, amidst this trajectory of human corruption, the narrative shifts focus, bringing a ray of hope. But the narrative brings a ray of hope. Adam again knew his wife Eve, and she bore another son, whom she named Seth, saying, "God has granted me another child in place of Abel, for Cain killed him." And to Seth was born Enos, and then people began to call upon the name of the Lord. This marks a crucial turning point, signifying a return to seeking God, a spiritual lineage re-emerging in contrast to the material advancements but moral decay of Cain's line. It is through Seth's descendants that the thread of faith and relationship with the divine will continue, setting the stage for future covenants and redemption. The lineage of Seth represents a new beginning, a promise of restoration, where faith and the pursuit of God re-emerge amidst a world already scarred by tragedy. Genesis 4 is a mirror of the human condition, the constant struggle between good and evil, the choice between submission to sin and mastery over it, and the enduring hope for redemption and connection with the divine. The story of Cain and Abel is a vivid reminder of the consequences of jealousy, anger, and the refusal to master sin. It is a timeless warning about how the choices in our hearts can shape our destiny and the destiny of those around us, urging us to guard our hearts and choose righteousness. May this narrative inspire us to examine our own attitudes, to master our impulses, and to seek reconciliation and justice in a world still grappling with the echoes of that first betrayal. For the cry of Abel's blood still echoes, inviting us to reflect on the dignity of life and the responsibility of our actions. Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the content.